Nice August day. I've been out doing quite a bit of trail clearing lately. I happen to be doing some trail clearing on my private property, but I also keep a lot of hunting trails open and camping trails and things like that. And I use a variety of tools to do that, and I thought it might be helpful if I put out a video just kind of going over a range of tools that I use. There's no one tool that does it all best. So I'm going to explain how each one kind of excels in some tasks and not in others. And I'll show you on different sections of trail here where I'll use them. So I got a pretty heavy big old bucket of tools here and a brush saw, and let's do this. Safety first, boys and girls. So pair of gloves, can't go wrong. I haven't quite destroyed these yet. Ergodyne, I think I showed these before. I got them really inexpensively at Princess Auto, and I've done a lot of work with them so far. Very happy with them. So I'm going to wear those today. And I put on safety glasses because why not, right? Protect my eyeballs, and it's not sunny enough to wear sunglasses. Okay, so starting off here, I don't know where the best place is to stand, but these are not very glorious. So just a couple pairs of pruning shears. So I don't know what brand these are. I've got a pair of Fiskars. Okay, you can get these at most hardware stores. I also picked up a belt pouch so I can fit that just on my belt, and otherwise you can also just jam them in your pocket. Super convenient, and this is probably one of my main trail clearing tools. Okay, what are they good for? They're good for, you pull them out, you can use them one-handed, and anytime you just have like woody material on the edges of the trail, very easy to just snip your way along, and you know, cut stuff maybe up to about the size of your thumb, but don't cut your thumb. And then when you don't need them, just pop them back in your pocket or your belt pouch. I also use these a lot in the raspberry patch. I've been doing a lot of trimming and pruning in the raspberry patch, trimming currant bushes, apple trees. So they're just kind of an all-around really handy tool to have at home or in the woods. So I'll do a little bit of snippety snip with these. Okay, next we're going to go one size up. We call these loppers or long-handled pruners, I guess. The disadvantage is that they're not really like pocket-friendly or backpack-friendly. You have to have them in your hand, and they are a two-handed operation. However, you can now cut stuff quite a bit larger, right? Probably like as big as paper towel rolls maybe. And they have a lot of power, and you can also get them where they are ratcheting, which gives you a lot more mechanical advantage. Again, if you're just out for a walk and your purpose is to clear trails, then you're going to not mind maybe carrying a two-handed tool, or you at least need two hands to use it. You can obviously carry it with one hand, but these are very, very handy. And again, just moving along. Oh, that sounds like a dirty chipmunk, Ziggy. Why don't you go get it? Moving along and trimming. So again, this is good for branches and saplings, so things that are kind of bulky, and you want to trim them all down as you might on the edge of a trail. What do you think? You wanna watch me go? You wanna watch me go? Watch your tail. Okay. Oh, we should sharpen these. These ones are as old as I am, I think. I'm not gonna say how old that is, but they work great. Isn't it? And you don't have to bend over as much because with the longer handles, you can reach down to the ground. I don't need you right in my space, Ziggy, or I'm going to trim your legs off. Right? Good for branches. Let's talk about saws next. I got a range of saws that I will typically use. So, for example, I bought this for my daughter and she uses it quite a bit. It's got a belt loop, so it's kind of handy. You can carry it around on your belt. It's like a generic brand of saw that I've seen at Princess Auto and other stores. So this saw works really well. The advantage of a saw is you can cut stuff like up to, well, I guess as big as you want to tackle. These little hand saws, typically I'd cut stuff up to like the size of my wrist or my arm. Even this little silky saw that I got from a Nomadic box is just petito, but you can cut a lot of wood with these. Again, you have to get down to the base of the tree or getting close to those branches. The nice thing about these little pocket saws is you can wear them on your belt, or you can just literally throw them in your pocket. And saws can go pretty much as big as you want to go. So here's a silky big boy. You could also get the katana boy, which is quite a bit larger again, and is going to allow you to cut much larger wood. Okay, so this is good if you want to have a saw with you. It's really good for clearing branches off the side of the trail, or in the case where you have like logs and small trees that fall across the trail, you probably want one of these mid-sized saws to help you cut the ends off and throw that out of the way. Okay, but typically I'll have one of these smaller saws. I, in other videos, have shown a small Fisker's saw that is very small but does a lot of good work. I use it for pruning apple trees and trail maintenance. So today, just going to move along here and do a little bit of cutting with this little silky pocket boy. Okay, we can talk about machete type tools. So here, these are more like swingers. Two that I've been using quite a bit recently are the Camillus Carnivore XZ. So a little machete type chopper. And the Gerber machete. So the Camillus, you might have seen, I recently picked this guy up from Princess Auto. It was only $25, so it was a good deal. And the Gerber machete I got from Cabela's, it was also on sale at the time. And I'm not really a machete guy, but I found myself pretty fond of them while I've been doing some trail clearing. So Where they're good is cutting live material. They don't really work great cutting dead material, but where you can slice through stuff maybe up to the size of your thumb or a little bit bigger, you get a lot of good one strike, chop them down. And on my trails I've had a lot of goldenrod and raspberry. So you can see that there's a raspberry that I cut a couple days ago when I was coming through here. And so the machete's pretty good if you just can get close down to the ground and chop those guys down at the base. It works great on those kinds of herbaceous plants. Because I'm often walking with my dog though, I have to have eyes in the back of my head because I don't want to slice her when she's running back and forth around me. So it's, you know, a lot safer if you're using the saw or the loppers. You're really unlikely to hurt somebody like a dog or a person around you. But with a machete, you know, I probably got maybe a 5-foot radius around me that's a swing zone, and I want to be careful about that. In my experience, you're also more likely to hurt yourself with a machete because they are all blade, and so if you glance off of something, it can come back and hit you. This one I've been using quite a bit, so I'm just going to touch it up with the, what's this guy called again? The Work Sharp, and then we're going to go do some chopping. I must have hit something that I shouldn't have, because see that bend? I'm gonna have to hammer that out actually. I have a good peening hammer and an anvil. I'm just gonna straighten out that nick. I don't know what I did that I wasn't supposed to, but something. Ziggy's sad. She wants to go for a walk. We're not being active enough for her. Hey, Zig? Cut those goldenrods. Hey? And then it's good for little live trees on the sides of the trail. End up cutting a lot of those. These are like finger size to thumb size, and they're basically like one strike hits. I figured out the one thing that this pretend saw on the back of the machete is good for, and that is as a prehensile hand. Because it's pretty grippy, it's actually kind of handy to, without having to bend over and pick up branches, and just scoop them up on the back of the machete and toss them out of the way. It otherwise does not work great as an actual saw. What it does do pretty well though is if you just want to walk along a grassy trail and knock seed heads off of stuff. All the grassy seed heads, if you swing at them, they get caught in these teeth and it just pops all the tops off, which is alright. So both of these have worked quite well for me. This is obviously much lighter to carry around, and it's not going to swing around as much on your belt compared to this machete, which is quite a bit longer. But I did not like my hand being so close to the things I was chopping, mainly if they were brambles or raspberries, because I found that my hands were getting thorns, and that was not too comfy. But that is a nice little chopper with a chisel point for digging, and the saw on the back of this one actually does work quite well for live material, not dead material. I was using it successfully in my last review video, and it comes with this cute little piggyback knife slash spear point on the same sheath. Okay, I know you're going to want me to talk about axes, but we're going to transition there from machetes by looking at a tool that is part machete and part axe. And I reviewed this guy recently in a video. What if an axe and a machete had a baby? That baby would be the Swede axe, aka the brush axe. And this one's a bit old, so I'm going to touch it up. So what have we got here? If it's not too annoying for me to talk while I sharpen, we have a short little piece of blade, and you can take it out of this frame, which means you can replace the blade inexpensively, or you can clamp it in a vise or something and do like a real good sharpening job on it. This one got a bit rusty on me. And you can get this blade very, very sharp. Now, because it is short and stiff, it is better for chopping deadwood than a machete, which is kind of long and flexible. And this frame here adds a bit of weight to it. So more weight than a machete, but less weight than an axe of a similar size. Now, because it is a thin, narrow blade, and you can get it almost razor sharp, it is pretty much just as good at cutting saplings and goldenrods, those herbaceous plants, and live wood as a machete. The only thing that you have to keep in mind is that you have just a like a 6-inch strike face. Okay, so with a machete, you've got all that 18 inches of blade, so maybe you're not paying attention about which part of the machete hits the thing that you are chopping. But with the Swede axe, you have to be a little more accurate. I think it's also like a really safe tool to use, although someone left me a comment that it was maybe not, but I don't really see how so, because it has a pretty small blade area and you're swinging it at arm's length from your body, and for those reasons I think it tends to be quite safe to use. So again, this raspberry and frame enough, because it's thin and sharp, you can very easily, like a machete, kind of slice through that material. Okay, and this is also a really handy tool if you, as I was mentioning earlier, I like to go for walks and do a little bit of clearing, so you can walk and whack and cut through a lot of these like soft materials. Now, if you want to tackle something thicker and heavier, it's really good for one straight cuts on live wood, so branches along the trail, saplings. I've got a field full of saplings, and this is really handy for getting down and chopping at the bottom. And again, because it's long, if you want to chop at the base of things, you can do that without having to bend over really far you can reach the ground pretty easily and chop out things like raspberries. Now because it has that shorter, stiffer blade, so look at this, I can like cut through these soft weeds. This is pigweed amaranth, I think. Anyway, because it's got the stiffer blade, you can also do some chopping of dead wood, and it works fairly effectively for that. Not probably as good as an axe, which we're going to go to next, but you can. The downfall for limbing trees is that because there is a bit of a space between the blade and the frame, so there's a bit of space there, I find that it's difficult to limb a tree nice and even with the edge of the tree. I almost always end up leaving a little branch stub with this guy. With an axe, you can, with the, well, let me just grab an axe. Right, Ziggy? So, with an axe, when you're limbing trees, you can run the blade along the edge of the tree and very cleanly take off the branches, and it just has a nicer look. So I've got two axes here today. This is a Wildcrafter small forest axe, and this is a Wetterlings. You can see the Wetterlings is quite a bit shorter than the Wildcrafter, and this is a nice one to like throw in a backpack and take on camping trips. But typically, if I'm doing work, I want a longer handled axe. Why? It's easier to chop bigger wood with it, and it's also quite a bit safer. So the longer the handle on your axe, the less likely you are to whack yourself in a shin if you miss what you're swinging at, because it's going to hit the ground before it hits your leg, hopefully. So why and where would I use an axe when I'm trail clearing? Well, for things like fallen logs, for bigger branches, for bigger saplings, axes are heavy choppers, and that's where they excel. I'm not going to cut goldenrods with them. I'm not going to be swinging at these white flowered asters, right? The machete works for that. The brush saw works for that. The D-axe even works for that. But these guys are heavy choppers. So where I've got a log across the path and I want to chop it in half and drag it away, I'm going to use an axe or a longer saw. If I want to limb a whole bunch of trees, way faster with an axe than with a saw. So do a little bit of chopping here just because I've been talking about it. Ziggy's helping out by chewing on some twigs. She's always trying to help do whatever I'm doing, even if she doesn't quite understand. But let's do some axing. Let's move up to the next log. I'll just keep that guy there so I don't lose track of it. So I've mentioned before, there's a lot of, well, look at them all. Dead spruce and balsam. They all got beetled, and they're currently just a fire risk on this property, and I realize it's part of natural succession, but I don't want my house and outbuildings to get caught up in natural succession. So I've been trying to remove them wherever and whenever I have time. Any of these trees around here, from like wrist size up to leg size or bigger, could chop them down and fell them with this axe if I wanted to. It's the best hand tool for that job, although I'm typically, for that work, using a chainsaw. You want to take one of these away and get that one? Oh yeah, come on big dog, go do your work. Take it, take it. You want this one? You got it? What a good zig. You gonna chew it or are you gonna carry it? Take it away. Take it away. Or don't. Huh? Get your nose out of there, or you'll lose it. You're brave. Hey, you're brave. Hey, get out of there. Why are you being such a goof? You're not going to grab this one. Ding dong. You're not going to grab this one. Okay, we'll take it somewhere. If you're going to be so helpful. Ow! That was my finger. Okay. Way less helpful than you think, Ziggy. Look at this dog. How cute are you? She had her nose resting on it a second ago. Just don't chew those tools. Right, Ding Dong? Okay, lastly, let's talk about a brush saw. This is an electric brush saw. I've had this for maybe 7 or 8 years actually, and it works great. This is a Greenworks brand, and they have big, heavy, long-lasting batteries. If you've watched some of my older videos, I've taken these on trips with a little inverter that you can buy for them, and I've used them to power up camera batteries, flashlights, etc., my phone. But this is what they're made for, is running an electric lawnmower and this electric whippersnipper brush saw and other tools in their lineup. So you'll notice that I've got a metal blade on here, and you also can attach the string version. I like the metal blade because I'm not working around things that I'm worried about damaging. So I'm not going to hit patio stones, I'm not going to hit fence posts, I'm out here in the bush. And this is going to let me cut through saplings up to about the size of my finger very easily. So in areas where you're getting regrowth on trails, for example, I've got a spot that's all coming up in little balsams, I can just mow them all down with this electric brush saw. In this case here, I've got raspberries, blackberries, and goldenrods and ferns encroaching on my trail, and up ahead I go through a field. Ziggy sees something interesting over there. And so this really excels in this kind of a situation because I can just kind of mow my way through. Now I have to be careful because once you get this thing spinning, it has a lot of inertia in it, and there's no quick way to stop it. Okay, so if I'm working around people or a dog, I have to make sure that if somebody gets too close and they're at risk of getting injured, I might have to like jam it in the ground or something to stop it. So let's cut some raspberries and not Ziggy. Hey Ziggy, why don't you get out of the way? If you're one of the people that doesn't think that an electric brush saw is as good as a gasoline powered one, I would really encourage you to give one a try. There's a lot of advantages to them. Number one, they're usually quite a bit lighter and easier to operate. They're also less noisy. They don't smell. You never have to mix fuel or worry about your fuel degrading. They often are compatible with other multi-tool systems, so you might be able to get one that fits your popular brand of cordless tools, and they work really well. This battery here is obviously a bit larger than like a cordless driver battery. Okay, this is a 40-volt system and it's 146 watt-hours, so it's quite a bit of power. This will run easily 20 minutes. Usually quite a bit longer, and I can cut a lot of field or trail or garden edge with this before the battery dies. Usually I'm ready for a break before this is ready for a break. So give that a little bit of thought if you have a bias against electric. So this battery only had 3 bars out of 4 when I started, so it was already depleted a little bit. And it's like a 7-year-old battery that I've used many times, so it's not new. But I did do all that line and about halfway back, and I'll know from the length of this clip how long this ran for that. So probably wrap up on the brush saw, and hopefully what you can appreciate from this video is that each tool is kind of suited to a different task. So none of them really excels at any one task. They all kind of have their best use. So which ones are my favorite? Well, it really kind of depends on what I'm doing and where I am and what my goals are. Lately I've been trail cutting just as part of getting Ziggy out for a walk every morning. So because I'm at a walking speed, I've really been enjoying just having the machete. and just kind of whacking at stuff as I'm walking along, keeping her active. And again, really keeping an eye out for where she is, because I don't obviously want to chop her. And the machete is great because it's long enough that I can get down and chop those goldenrods at ground level. I can reach up and chop these overhead branches. I can do limbs. I can do saplings. It's just not good for cutting deadwood. Other times, if I'm out doing something else, usually hunting, fishing, camping, or I'm out and I don't really have a destination, I often have just the hand pruners, and I just snip, 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 snip as I'm going along. And it's really good for getting rid of some of those branches that kind of hang in on the trail, or small saplings that are coming up in the middle. For production and for like trails that are full of goldenrods and things, this is probably the more productive one. You can see that it clears a lot of area in a fairly short period of time. This one's actually quite heavy. I was recently using a different brand of one with smaller batteries, and it was very light. But this one has the shoulder strap, which makes it very easy to carry the weight on your body while you're kind of doing the twist there. You saw me doing that for a little while. Anything else to add to that? I don't know. But, you know, drop a comment below and let me know what you think. And we will be back. I will be back for another video soon, so take it easy, YouTube.